This show contains discussion of general investment strategies for information purposes only and should not be construed as investment advice. Diversification cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses.
It's time for the Money Puzzle Podcast, with good conversations and realistic solutions to the money puzzles we all face every day. Join your hosts, chartered financial consultant and financial advisor Robert Edgen and financial advisor Brian Johnson to learn the money tips and tricks you need to achieve the financial confidence you deserve and the future that you dream of. Now let's get this show started.
Hi there, hello, and welcome to the Money Puzzle Podcast. I am Robert Edgen, and I'll be your guide for the ride for the next few minutes. This is the place for candid conversations about money, finance, investing, and all of the other pieces of the money puzzle that you need to figure out so you can have the financial confidence you deserve and the
future that you dream of.
That's right. In the studio, actually in the library with me today, right. The financial library. Thanks for joining me in my book room. Is Brian Johnson, my buddy, my amigo, my business partner from our Denver location. Brian, thank you for joining me here today.
Finally back together after what, 4 months?
It has been entirely too long. And it's just not as much fun doing this with you when we are remote.
No, I look better remote though.
So that's true. And I usually turn your camera off when you're not paying attention. So great to have you back in here. It's great to be back together in general and having the world open back up and having us get back to normal. I installed the library while you were gone. So glad you could join me. And today it's still kind of weird. There's still a lot of sheltering at home, a lot of unemployment, a lot of weird stuff going on down in the Springs. But how are you guys adapting in the mountains where you live?
You know, the mountains seem to be normal as usual. Their traffic is still the same. Traffic is starting to pick up now that it's summer too. Oh my gosh.
By traffic you mean horses and
the horse and buggy. Yes, and people driving little mules around. Right. No, but the traffic's picking back up again. People are going back up to the mountains. But the traffic coming down the hill towards Denver is still super light.
Well, that's great.
I still don't run into any rush hour traffic in the morning, the afternoon. Still don't.
That's good. It seems like here in Colorado Springs, it's just about back to normal, if not completely back to normal. But we are happy to be back at work. I know my whole team is thrilled to be back in the office. I'm thrilled to be back so we can help people out, so we can meet with them face to face. But we're still doing a lot of Zoom meetings. We're still
doing a lot of Zoom meetings. I have not had a client in my office this whole time. Even the appointments we did last week were all video.
Virtual. Yeah. That might be our new way of life. The good news is that, we look better by video than in person. And in podcast, we look the best. All right. So in all seriousness, we have 3 different things that we're going to get through that all should be beneficial and helpful to whatever stage you're at with life and with the coronavirus.
Yep. I was going to say there will be a challenge.
And there will be a challenge. I'm excited about that. Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. The first thing that we were talking about was a book that I had been reading while I was, staying safe at home. And a part of this book was talking about 3 big areas that people spend their money on, not where they necessarily overspend, but where they spend significantly more than they thought they did.
That's the key. More than they thought.
More than they thought they did. Because if you are budgeting, right, and you are spending far more than you think you are spending, right, you're screwing up your whole budget. So 3 areas, and we kind of want to talk about those 3. Those 3 are your car, grabbing a bite, and the little things. So we'll get down to all 3 of them. But first, let's start with a car. And Brian, you said something to me before we started filming about, you've heard this a lot from clients where I want to buy this car because it's only an extra $100 a month.
Yeah, and I'll give you one specific situation. So one of my clients with a BMW, 10-year-old BMW, immaculate. The only reason why you know it's 10 years old is because the body style is a little bit different. It's 50,000 miles on it. Well,
after 10 years?
After 10 years.
I'd like to buy that car.
Only $9,000.
Wow. All right, keep going.
Okay, so anyways, it was like, well, it doesn't have the features. Okay, what feature doesn't it have? Well, it doesn't tell me if somebody's next to me. I said, well, can you turn your head? Right? But that is one thing. They're looking at spending $75,000 on a new car because it had those features.
So, well, and they may say, so that's a huge expense
that
there,
is.
right?
But with that, a lot of people will say, well, if I just bump up a little bit, it's only an extra $100 a month or $150 a month.
Right.
That's it.
Which may be true for your car payment, right? But you need to look at your true cost of car ownership.
That's right.
Which includes other things like insurance.
Yeah, and the number of miles driven, which causes depreciation.
So depreciation, if your older car costs, whatever, $100 a month for insurance, your new car is probably going to cost $125 a month.
Well, but one of the things that people don't think about is windshields now.
Oh my gosh. I know you are preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
I had to replace a windshield, $2,000 to replace the windshield.
That's right. And that was in your car, right?
So, yes.
Well, I had one client with a Subaru Outback with I think it's called front sight. It was $3,500.
That's right. So an extra expense. But how about other little things? So sure, you were paying gas on the old one. This new one has a slightly bigger engine, right? You're probably going to be spending more on gas. Or now you need to get premium versus regular, right? So extra gas costs. Maintenance on newer vehicles costs more.
Yeah,
right?
It does.
And then how about, this is me speaking now. I want to keep my car clean.
Yeah.
You buy a new car, what do? You get a car wash package.
Right.
You have to get floor mats that match.
Or you get what was the coating that they put on cars these days?
Right.
So for scratches or whatever.
Whatever. So so if you look at the true cost of a new car versus your existing car, or the true cost of car ownership in general, it is probably significantly higher than you think it is.
Especially the depreciation side.
So, yeah, and this is just spending money out of pocket. This isn't even taking depreciation.
I mean, when you think about depreciation, if it depreciates by $10,000 in a year, let's just say a year of something absurd, right? $10,000 in a year, that's $833 a month that you are losing, that's costing you in that car.
I hadn't even thought about that, and quite frankly, I don't want to because that just makes it even more scary.
But that's why I buy used cars.
So, yeah. All right. So that's buying a car. The second one is grabbing a bite. And, we have conversations, my wife and I have conversations like this with clients where, they're like, we don't really spend that much money on eating out because we're not really, eating out types of people. We eat at home. Now, I can say, my wife and I, we eat out. That's one of our things. We're empty nesters. We eat about 3 meals a week at home and about 4 meals a week out. But during the quarantine, we were eating 7 meals a night at home. What a difference in cost.
That's right.
Right? What a humongous difference in cost.
For me, it was coffee. I mean, there's a great coffee place by my office, less than a mile away. Dude, I was spending like $20 a week.
Yeah, convenience and ease to grab a bite is costing you probably significantly more than you think it is costing.
That's
you,
right.
Right? Because it's just $4 here, $6 there, $8 there. It is adding up to a significant amount of money.
Running to the gas station. Oh, I'm just going to grab a soda.
Well, now you're getting into the third thing, which we're going to put these together because the third thing is the little stuff.
That's right. That's the little stuff.
The little stuff. Anything under the price of $20. I need to pick up, a new charger for my iPhone.
And then I'll grab a pack of gum with it.
That's
because right there at Best Buy is the candy.
That's right. I'm getting gas. I'll run in and I'll grab a soda, whatever it might be. All of those little things, which a coffee purchase would actually go under that little thing. So those little things cost people significantly more than they think they are costing.
Well, that's right. And with the coffee thing, guess what? Guess what else costs me? I have to drive down there.
So that's right. You got gas as well.
Yeah.
Now your car costs more.
Right.
So these 3 things, it has been, it's been discovered that they cost more than people think that they cost, more than any of their other categories. So we thought it would be fun to have a little 30-day tracking challenge.
Right.
To see for these 3 categories, how much are you actually spending over 30 days? Now we're getting back to normal. So grabbing a bite is happening again, right? The stopping and for something little is happening again.
Yep.
So here's the deal. We will even help you do the tracking. If you will email us your name, address, then we will turn around and mail you a little tracking log and a pen.
Yep.
The pen might have our logo on it. So
it maybe.
It might. Yes, that's right. So for the next 30 days, we want you to track how much are you spending on these 3 categories. Nothing else.
Yep.
Right? Just these 3. And before you add them up at the end of the month, we want to know, what did you think that you were spending and what did you actually spend?
Sure.
So along with that little notebook and that pen, we're going to send out an instruction sheet. And then at the end of 30 days, we're going to talk through those 3 things. Yeah. We're going to do them ourselves as well, so we can talk about them. You didn't know that until just now, but we might as well, Brian.
I can tell you what the coffee is.
Well, actually, you track your expenses more than anybody I know anyways. But we're also then going to figure out some prizes and some giveaways for people who participate. So check the show notes for that, but also just, email us to questions@yourmoneypuzzle.com.
If you like his tie, we'll send you his tie.
Not this tie.
No, not that one.
I love this tie.
Okay, no, sorry.
All right, so that was topic number 1. How much are you spending on those 3 categories more than you think you're spending?
Right.
Hey everybody, it's Robert Edgen here, host of Your Money Puzzle podcast. This is a great and safe place to learn about what you need to do to have a great financial future. And it starts with learning, because learning makes you wise, but you have to do what you learn if you want to become wealthy. And we want to help you do just that, to do what you learn and to become wealthy. It starts with a quick, no obligation, free to you 15-minute phone conversation to talk about your goals and the strategies to get you there faster and easier. We call it a financial discovery session, and you can schedule yours right now by texting the word discovery to 719-645-4838. We'll text you back a link to schedule your one-on-one conversation with a real financial advisor. Again, that number to text is 719-645-4838, or you can schedule your 15-minute discovery session right on our website, www.edgenjohnsonfinancial.com. All right, we're back. We're moving on to topic number 2, which is going to be detours. Because if you stop and you think about what's been going on with all of the quarantines, shelter at home, maybe job situations, really what these things are a detour from your retirement or from your financial plan or your plan in general.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you do when you come across a detour? So, Brian, how about you?
I turn around and go home.
Me too.
I don't care if I'm 80% of the way there or 10%.
That's right.
I go home.
That is never what you do.
Right.
Yes. And that's really shouldn't be what anyone does. If you are, getting up in the morning and you have to go to work, which now if you live in Colorado, you can't get anywhere without road work.
That's right.
It's not down here, right?
Yeah.
I do not have a single day goes by that I don't have to take a detour on my way to work. So does that mean I turn around and just go home and don't go to work? No. I have to get up and go to work. But let's put it into a little bit longer time frame or distance wise. Let's say you want to take a road trip. We're close to Denver. We want to go from Denver to New York City. If you make it as far as, the border of Colorado and you find out that there's a detour, what are you going to do? Are you going to continue to go or are you going to turn around and go back?
Well, really what you're going to do is pull out your map, which is pretty much on your phone these days, and see the best way around it.
The best way around it. Now, first off, you said you have a map.
Yes.
Right. So, and also you have a destination.
That's right.
Right. So that's a lot like retirement.
Right. Financial plan and your ideal age for retirement.
Your destination.
70.
65.
40.
Whatever it might be. So the whole thing is if you have a destination in mind, a place that you want to get to. And when we're talking about finances, then that place is typically retirement or it's a financial state.
Yeah.
Right. A level of independence and freedom.
Millionaire status.
So that's right. That is a destination. Okay. So you know where you want to go.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you're doing it right or wisely, then you have a map of how to get there.
Called a
financial plan.
That's right.
That's right. Could be a roadmap, a financial roadmap, but really you have an idea of where you need to go, of how you need to do it in order to reach your destination.
And when there's a detour, such as the market correction
That's
or
right.
bear market, bottom out on March 16th, don't deviate.
That's right. So just because the economy changes, because the stock market changes, has your goal changed?
Right.
Has your destination changed?
Right. No.
Right. It's still the same place.
Yep.
So maybe taking that road trip, to New York City, maybe it takes you 30 minutes out of the way.
Right.
Right. Maybe a stock market correction takes you, 3 months out of the way. Right.
Right.
But if you will just remember where you want to go and why you want to get there, then you won't turn around, give up, or quit.
And don't forget the how either, how you're going to get there. You just continue on.
You keep following the plan. The other thing about having a roadmap is when a detour comes up, then you don't have to just turn around and go. You can look at your financial plan or your map and say,
yes.
We can just do this or do that and work through it.
So when you look at that detour and you look at your map in your book, you say, you know what? I need to call Rob because would left be better or would right be better?
That's right. And yes, how am I going to handle this detour? But having a map is a huge advantage.
Yes.
I mean, in general, you're not going to leave Denver and head to New York and probably get there without a map anyways.
I would probably go to Utah and maybe up to Idaho, Canada. I don't know.
It would be luck.
Yes,
if you ever got there. So don't leave the planning, the destination rather, up to luck. Make sure that you've got a plan, and then
that's right.
Just keep going back to why am I going there and where am I going?
That's right.
So, okay.
And the third thing, what are we talking about in the third thing?
It's an emergency fund.
What is an emergency?
So
if I have money sitting in the bank and I want to go on a trip, is that an emergency?
Well, that is not an emergency. But why? So real quick, why do people need to have an emergency fund?
For the unexpected. So as an example, COVID.
Yes.
A lot of people lost their jobs. If you don't have money set aside to cover your basic expenses, what happens?
Well, you got issues. You tackle your retirement, you file bankruptcy.
And you do forbearance on your mortgage. Oh my gosh, don't ever do that. But people have.
Well, they had to. An emergency fund, all financial advisors have been talking about emergency funds forever, right? And there's a reason. It's because they're smart.
Yes.
Right? It's because you need an emergency fund. But a couple of things about that emergency fund. The first is, what is really an emergency?
So I'll give you a great example, okay, of an emergency. You have a small little car accident, but you cannot go to work for 3 months because you hurt your back so bad you can't sit, or you hurt your back so bad you cannot stand. So then what do you fall back on for that small period of time?
Your emergency fund.
Right.
So another great example of emergency funds are, car breakdowns, home maintenance, or home repairs. Your furnace goes out. Basically, it's things that will impact your income or cause you to spend more of your income than you have to spend.
That's right. Oh, high deductible health plan. My daughter broke her femur. This was several years ago. We had a $10,000 family deductible.
Let's talk about what emergencies are not. Now, you mentioned...
I want to go to Mexico.
So, and let's talk about that.
New Mexico.
So, you can even be regular
Albuquerque.
Mexico. If you're wanting to go to, and we've heard this before, we had to go to Mexico, because, John was super stressed out at work, right? He wasn't handling things well at home. We were afraid he was going to have a heart attack. He needed to relax. It was an emergency.
Yes, but in reality, all he wanted to do was party.
He wanted to have a good time. That's right. Or we've heard this before. Listen, I spent my emergency money on a hot tub and a home gym, but listen, it makes sense because now, first off, I don't have to spend the money on the gym fees.
Right. Oh my gosh, $100 a month.
So $25 a month.
Or whatever.
That's right. And I was very stressed out after work. I wasn't treating my family right. I wasn't handling I was worried about having a heart attack.
That's right.
I had to get a hot tub. It's an emergency.
Yeah.
In reality, what did he want?
to party.
He wanted a party. That's right. He wanted to have a hot tub. So those types of things are not technically considered emergencies.
No.
Right?
Well, one of the things I don't think is emergencies is tires for the car, because we know they wear out.
So that's maintenance.
It's
That's
maintenance,
regularly
yes.
scheduled maintenance. That's right. In general, we used to tell folks 6, 9, 12 months is what you should have set aside for emergency funds, right? But we've actually, been giving this some thought, and we've talked to a lot of other financial advisors about it. And when you have 9 months sitting aside in your emergency fund, it's almost like it's a temptation or an excuse to go out and do these things. Now, real back up about that trip to Mexico, the bar in the basement, all that kind of stuff. People have a tendency to rationalize anything and everything as an emergency. You can make anything an emergency that you want to, but if you just stop and listen to the word rationalize, really what you're going to discover is it's just rational lies. It is your opportunity to make something sound like something else, so you have an excuse to party. That's right. So instead of having 9 or 12 months, or maybe even 6 months, we were looking at really maybe 3 months is a much better option. Even taking the COVID into account, what happened within 3 months? They figured out unemployment, right? Temporary, right?
Temporary.
They figured out a stimulus, temporary.
Right.
So they're finding ways. And if you had 3 months set aside, you probably were not feeling as anxious.
Well, one of the interesting things is most people took the stimulus and saved it.
So, really?
Yeah, savings rate in the month of April was up 33%.
Wow. Now, do you think that that's because they were scared, or because it was someone else's money?
Both. Because you couldn't go out. Because almost every state was locked down. Right? Almost every single one was locked down.
Yeah.
So therefore you weren't spending money, but also they're not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. The money went into savings. It was the highest savings rate since 1956.
But that was that was step one, right? That was a great start. But do what you can to get 3 months of emergencies, of income set aside.
Expenses, basic expenses, right? Food, clothing, shelter, and transportation.
Yeah. Now let's talk. So we talked about 3 things. We probably should have done this at the same time, but let's talk about a few ways that we can help with these things, starting with the emergency funds. So one of the things that you could do is keep your emergency funds in a separate bank. Right? And don't sign up for online access.
Yes. Make sure that you need to go there in order to pull the money out. So if you're on vacation, you can't access it.
That's right. An extra night stay is not an emergency.
No, and then changing your flight
is not an emergency. Right. So, when it comes to an emergency fund, keep it elsewhere, keep it hidden, make it hard to get to. Because if it's really an emergency, you will drive down to that bank and get it.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
When it comes to back to the slow go and the detours, just one other thing to remember that will help is that slow go is better than no go.
That's right. So when there's a slowdown or a reduction of hours or something like that, it is okay to reduce how much you're saving or how much you're investing, but don't stop, because getting started again is very difficult, like we're seeing in the economy.
That's right. It is far easier, to keep your momentum going, even if it's a little momentum, than to start it up from scratch.
That's right.
You're absolutely right. And then when it comes to those 3 big surprise areas where people spend more than they think, a couple of ideas to help with that. Number 1 is using cash.
Oh, yeah, my favorite.
So that is literally your favorite. It really is. We handle this differently, right? Your way of doing it is cash. So it's very simple. Let's say that you say, I can spend $200 a month on eating out. Well, if you you get paid twice a month, so you take $100 cash from each paycheck, you put it into a jar. Right.
And then you have my family that goes to Wendy's and spends $65.
So, you have a lot of family.
I do. But it's true. I spent it up in Woodland Park on a Saturday evening.
It's all expensive.
It was.
Everywhere it is. Whatever your budget is, try doing it in cash, at least for some of these categories. I don't think it makes sense, to be paying every bill in cash and doing that. But for these expenses, your grab a bite, your little stuff that's under $20, maybe you set aside $100 for little stuff. Yeah. When the money runs out and the cash,
it's gone.
It's gone. And then what?
You don't spend anymore.
You're done.
Yep.
Okay. So use cash, or, what you can also do is set a limit per pay period. But then what do you got to do?
You have to track it.
You have
to track it daily, because usually it's a husband and wife.
Mm-hmm. You have to compare at the end of the day, or maybe each spouse gets their own limit.
What I do is I have a sheet at the back of my budget with blank spaces, which at the very top I have the spending dollars. And I follow it on the debit card. Mm-hmm. And then if it's all spent out, like we almost did last weekend,
you're done.
It's done for the month.
So done. So there's a few ideas when it comes to not overspending or not spending more than you're expecting to in kind of those three big areas. Yep. So, all right. So we covered 3 different topics. We also had a great time hanging out in the library together. So that was nice. Take that book with you.
I'm trying to.
Yeah. So we will be, back in a month. We'll be back before then. Yeah. But to follow up on that tracking log. So make sure you send us an email to get yours. Otherwise, go out there, be safe, have some fun, but do something to help improve your future money puzzle. Your future self will definitely thank you for it. So until next time, see you guys.
See ya.
Registered representative of and securities offered through Securities Management and Research, Inc., SM&R. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through BFC Planning, Inc. Edgen Insurance and Financial Services, Johnson Financial Services, SM&R, American National Family of Companies, and BFC Planning are independent entities. There are risks involved with investing which may include market fluctuation and possible loss of principal value. Particular investments may not be suitable for certain situations. Carefully consider the risks and possible consequences involved prior to making an investment decision. Our firm does not provide legal or tax advice. Be sure to consult with your own legal and tax advisors before taking any action that may have tax implications.